it happens a lot, when I go back home, around like my cousins and my old friends and we're sitting around at the farm having some beers, and they're telling stories and every once in a while someone will just look at me and say, "Is it crazy what you're doing right now?" And it's crazy. Like, I'm not supposed to be here anyways. I didn't, even before the fight game, I wasn't meant to ever be successful.
What's going on, guys? This is Chris Weidman. I appreciate you guys checking out my channel and the latest episode of my podcast, Won't Back Down. I have a great show planned for today, but before we begin, I want to tell you about my show's presenting sponsor, BioXcellerator. BioXcellerator is the world leader in stem cell therapy and regenerative medical research. Through the use of their powerful golden stem cells, they help patients heal from joint and orthopedic injuries, autoimmune disorders, spine and disc damage, and neurological trauma. I went down to Medellin, Colombia, and I got my stem cells, and honestly, I feel great. My leg is improving every single day, and it takes about 6 months to get full effect from the stem cells, and I'm really excited to see what happens in the future. Thanks again to BioXcellerator for helping sponsor this show and create my show, Won't Back Down, which is also available on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. How you doing, man? What's been going on?
Nothing, man. I'm a little bit late, but I was out feeding the cows and loading trailers full of hay, and so I had a busy day today.
Wait, what?
Dude, I don't know what happened, but I don't know, maybe 7 or 8 months ago, I just started acquiring cows. It's the craziest shit.
Are you kidding me? That's amazing. Wait, do you live on a farm? Do you live on land like that?
Not like my everyday house. No. Okay. Where I kind of grew up on a farm. So I got like my uncle's spot, and then I have a friend that's got a bunch of land, and him and his wife were talking about raising cattle and doing that whole deal just for ourselves to eat.
Yeah.
Because I buy one every year. So
do you do that? You buy a cow and then just use that meat in the freezer for the year?
Yeah. So we split one. So one is a lot for just my family, but so we split half of it, and so we had talked about it, and I don't know, he just came across these 2 calves, and he was like, "Dude, let's just get them." So we got those 2, and then they just kept acquiring horses and donkeys, and so then somehow I ended up with a donkey, and that's totally Michaela. I don't know what the fuck we need a donkey for.
They keep away other animals or something, right? Don't they keep them safe or something?
Yeah. I don't know if it's still so much in use, but back in the day they used to use donkeys to protect the cattle herds from coyotes and wolves and shit like that.
Gotcha.
And so now we got two young heifers. We got those. So we're running low on hay in the barn, so I had to go load up a trailer and take it in there. I'm straight up Yellowstone in it over here.
Bro, you're like my idol right now because I love Yellowstone. I'm watching 1883. Have you started watching that yet?
I haven't. No.
It's like the prequel?
No, we're trying to finish. We'd already started Yellowstone. So we're on the last season, maybe halfway through it. And then we'll hit 1883. I hear it's pretty good though.
Oh, bro, it's good. It's good. I mean, I hate to say it's better than Yellowstone because Yellowstone's like probably one of my favorite shows between that and Breaking Bad. But 1883 is right up there, man. It's amazing how these people, they're such good actors and actresses. Like, I can't believe it because when I first heard about Yellowstone, I was thinking it's like kind of like back in the day, about like cowboys and stuff from back in the day. And then to find out that is going on in present day time is mind boggling to me.
Well, I knew that it just from, how I grew up, I knew that's definitely the lifestyle that people live. But I was, the acting really got me too. Like, this isn't I heard about it a bunch, but it wasn't on Netflix or like these big streaming places. Like, it was on Peacock, and I was like, oh, what is this low budget shit gonna be? But I started watching, like, holy hell, these guys are really, really good.
I do think, though, I'm not ruining anything, but I think is the season 5 is the last one, right? It's the season 5, 4. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like their acting kind of starts getting a little weird. There's some moments where they're making things just a little bit too obvious, but I heard in that last season the COVID restrictions for them were insane, and so they were isolated away from each other, so they couldn't have that the bond with each other, and and all that crap. And I do think it makes a difference, but the ending of that season is awesome. I love it.
Yeah,
now we have to wait like a year.
Man, that's the worst part. Like we've only been watching it for, I don't know, maybe just with me traveling slows it down a little bit on the weekend. So maybe 2 weeks, we're about to binge the entire season. And then at least, we can still move on to 1883. So that's good. We'll have something else to move on to.
That's what my wife and I did too. We just kind of binged it, caught up, and I love it that way. And it sucks when you're watching it live and you have to wait every week.
Oh yeah,
because we caught up for this season and we had to wait every week, and I was like, this sucks.
Yeah, it sucks. I don't know why they don't just drop the whole goddamn thing.
Do you and Michaela, do you guys have to watch it together, or she's allowed to watch it without you, and vice versa?
We pretty much got to watch it together. Yeah. Usually she'll fall asleep like halfway through an episode, and then I'll finish that one and typically watch one more. And then I can't move on until she catches up.
Gotcha. But that's like me and my wife, but reversed. I fall asleep, and then she watches like another episode or two, and then she waits for me to catch up. And she was actually made me watch one of the episodes of 1883 so she could catch up. I had to do that this morning, and I'm like, you kidding me? I'm starting my day on a couch watching 1883. You're ruining my day right now. And so I was like forced to do it.
Hey man, at the end of the day, that's a pretty good life we got though. Like
I can't complain.
It could be worse. Could be worse.
So you're getting ready to head out to UFC 271. You're doing the analyst work out there?
Yeah, working the desk. Should be
awesome,
dude,
man.
Houston brings it too. I don't know what it is about that city or that arena, but I think this is like my third time working the Houston event, and they always bring banger cards, and Houston shows up for sure. And all my dad's side of my family lives in Houston, so I don't get to see them that much. So it's cool when I go into work and then get to hang out with the family a little bit.
That is awesome. How are you enjoying the analyst work? Are you? I mean, you're doing great with it, and you're staying really busy. Are you enjoying it?
Yeah, I am. I think that it complements my fighting for sure. It's just not often I watch a lot of fights, but it's not that often that I watch fights and break down what other people are doing. It's a lot of stuff that I can't do. So I'm learning these new little, I don't know, nuances and approaches to the game and how different guys deal with stuff. I think it just makes me a smarter fighter. But I'm never tuned out of the fight game. I think maybe earlier in my career, I would try to have a good balance of normal life and fighting. And, I would fight, and I would want to take a break. So then I just bail, and I wouldn't watch a fight. I wouldn't do anything. And then by the time, it would take me a while to ease my way back into kind of being a fighter again.
Yeah.
So I feel like I never really leave the training camp, I guess, mentality, because I'm always learning and watching stuff, and it absolutely helps my profile. You know what I mean? It keeps my face out there. People don't forget about me. When it comes to value, and that's really what this game is about, is how valuable can you be to a company or promotion. I think a lot of the international fighters sometimes have it easier than we do. Guys like Conor can have an entire nation behind him. He's already kind of got that built-in credibility and popularity, and his pay-per-view numbers are good. And obviously he's a character, and he's got charisma, and he's easy to follow. But when you come in and you got a full nation behind you already, that does tend to start you on second base.
Yeah. What do you think that is? What is that with America and not really getting behind our people like all out?
I think we just have so many other sports. I think everyone's just spread across. There's, football, basketball, baseball, just those three. You have a lot of people that only watch baseball, they only watch football, and those sports have been around for so long.
Yeah.
We're just, I think just in the grand scheme of things, it feels like we've been doing this for a lifetime, but it's fairly new, in the world in general. I just think that, and I think we have people in here in America that are from everywhere. So, like it's just Irish people in Ireland for the most part, you know what I mean? So it sucks though. It does. Like I see other Brazilians or the Russians. I don't know if you've ever fought anyone from Russia or one of those.
I have the Dagestanian dude. But bro, but just almost through Aljamain with fighting Peter Yan. You go to his Instagram, which a lot of it is him doing it to himself. But you go look at his Instagram, and it's like, there's a lot of Russians out there.
They destroy you on social media. They just have such a huge sense of national pride, and we just don't really get that here. So I think being able to do the broadcasting side has I don't know, grown my fan base significantly compared to if I was just like even regionally where I live, like here in Nebraska, it's not a huge MMA hub. You know what I mean? There's not it's just not, that's not how it is. Like in New York, everybody knows who Chris Weidman is. You know what I mean? Like that's your area. That's not really how it is for me here in Nebraska.
Not that they'll all root for me though. That's the funny thing. It's like they might have heard my name, which is pretty cool. I'll take that, but it's not like they're going to be diehard, and support me to the death fans like some of these other countries will. Yeah, but I agree. Like in order for people to be fans of people, they got to get to know you as a person. Mm-hmm. And I think you having your face on that screen every day and letting people into your life and getting them to understand you better as a person gets them to be excited more when you're going to fight, they have like an emotional attachment to you. And for the most part, when fighters fight, they fight and they go away until they fight again. You don't really hear from them too much unless you follow them on Instagram and stuff like that. But that's kind of like a different feel of being in touch with somebody as opposed to you actually being on screen, live and really just wearing your heart on your sleeve and like giving your opinion for whatever it's worth at that, point. I think it just brings you closer to everybody.
Yeah, and I think that I've outkicked my coverage as far as my popularity and as well as I've done, because I'm usually a pretty low key guy for the most part. But I think people see me on TV and they hear me on the radio or in interviews or whatever, and I just think I'm relatable. I think I'm just a normal guy. I think you can kind of go one way or the other, like, and I think that's why people have always liked you, like. People can see themselves hanging out with Chris Weidman. Like that's just a normal guy who does normal things. Mm-hmm. He's, some of these other guys, they like to like O'Malley. I think O'Malley's a fantastic fighter and he went the other direction. He's not super relatable to normal people. Like he's got crazy hair and crazy clothes and he's flashing fancy cars and jewelry and watches. And that's just not relatable to like blue collar America. Yeah. That does have a market of its own and it's got value. And obviously he's doing well with it, but this is not me. So I'm more the blue collar working guy who would be more likely to have a beer with you than to be the guy flashing watches and cars and stuff on Instagram. Yeah, I agree. And I think sometimes those guys like Sean O'Malley, it's because they're not relatable that there's this intrigue with them. Mm-hmm. It's like, that is so not like me. That is a crazy life. He's on private jets. He's got this crazy hair. He's doing weird swinging. He's like swinging with his girlfriend. He's doing all different like crazy things you can't even imagine doing. So I was like, wow, I got to watch this guy. This guy's unbelievable. And he's flashy as hell. It's exciting to watch fight too. That's part of it too. I can't fight like that. So yeah, me neither. And like, you have that. Conor McGregor has that too. He has that personality, and then he has that exciting, athletic style on the feet that like kind of people gravitate to. Yeah, I think you're either relatable or interesting. And you're relatable. I think you're super relatable, but you also are an anomaly in these given times. Like in these times right now, you're kind of a throwback to like a real fighter. Like when someone disrespects you, like you take it personal. It's not like it's Twitter, and just the keyboard warrior is just promoting a fight. Like it's hard to take away the way you grew up, where like if someone disrespects you, like we're fighting. Like, all right, if you're gonna talk to me like that, then I guess we got to fight now. And nowadays it's not like that anymore. And it's hard to take that out of somebody. I struggle with it, to be honest. Like I have a hard time disrespecting people, because if they disrespect me back, I feel like we got to fight, like, and I'm not gonna talk shit to somebody unless I expect that they're gonna like, when we see each other, we're probably gonna end up fighting. So it's hard for me to deal with that. How have you got better with that? Because obviously we have to grow as we get older and like realize that we can't just be angry at everybody and like want to fight everybody. How have you grown with that? I think I did a lot of the same thing you just talked about. I stay out of it myself as much as I can. Cause I know me. I'll go try to fight you. I've seen me do it. It's just, bro, can we talk about we love Cormier, but can we talk about the Cormier thing? What happened with you guys? He talked shit. Didn't he talk shit or something? Yeah, we're cool now. And I think DC realized the same thing that a lot of people realize. It's not a joke to me. It's just, it's not. And, I think Daniel was poking at me a little bit. And I think some of his was, he didn't know if he was coming back to 205 or not. And I was getting close to a title shot. So I think he was kind of trying to come up with a backup plan in case he came back down to 205. He'd already have kind of a built-in little beef and storyline because Daniel got those pay-per-view checks with animosity behind them, and he knows what they look like compared to, two guys that are broing it up and then fight. So
100%.
I think that was some of it. And so he poked at me and I kind of exploded. Because I kind of looked up to Daniel, like I've always found myself looking up to like really high level wrestlers, like guys that did well in college and were all Americans and national champions and went on to the international scene.
Yeah.
Because I so badly wanted to be that level of a wrestler when I was growing up. So I was so offended when Daniel Cormier poked at me a little bit. I just exploded because it's like, this guy I've just given so much credit to just tried to hurt my feelings, and we squashed it pretty quick because then he texted me out of nowhere and said, hey bro, this isn't personal. And I was like, it's all personal to me.
I know.
So, and we've been cool, ever since then. But, I think Luke Rockhold kind of did the same thing. And
yes, I remember talking to you about Luke Rockhold, and everybody knows I don't really like Luke Rockhold. It's like that one loss. I just want to get back so bad.
Right.
And I remember talking to you about him. I'm like, oh, this motherfucker hates Luke Rockhold way more than I do. You wanted to kill him.
Yeah. To this day, like, I don't, if he was walking down the street, I don't know that I couldn't stop and get out and just start a fight with him. It just, I don't think I could do it. And that's why I've also never attacked John Jones personally. He gets mad and he'll throw shit at me or whatever, but he's mad about what I'm saying about his career. And if I ever talk about anything that he's done in his personal life, it's because of how it's affected his fighting career. I've never gone in. I don't care what John does, but the reason I don't is because I can't take it. And I have a past and went through things when I grew up. So it takes a quick Google search to find out some of the stupid stuff that I've done. So I never did that because I can't take it back. So, we kind of had this weird competitive animosity, and he was always kind of looking at me like waiting for me to say something, and I was kind of waiting for him to say something. But
that's funny because I remember when that was
I would fight John at a press conference. I 100% I'd flip every table there, because I just can't take it. Like when you see Conor and Habib and all these guys talking about each other's wives, there is no way that's happening. I'll never make it to a fight. I would never make it to a fight with a guy like that. We wouldn't be able to be in the same city long enough to actually fight, because I'd just lose it. I don't know what it is. I just can't turn it off.
I really hate that Conor's taken it to that level, because I don't want that to turn into the norm, where we disrespect each other's wives and families. And like, I get it. I get it. It's a show business and shit like that. But, some people struggle with it more than others, like we're talking about. But at the end of the day, it's a show business. We get it, like more money with entertainment, blah, blah, blah. But when you start taking it to that level, bro, like you can't take that back. As fighters, we have to just deal with that and just be like, it's just a show. I don't want that. I don't want the sport to go down that road.
No. Even Conor was talking about Dustin's kids. And then that's when Conor kind of came at me.
Did he come at you?
Yeah. Someone had asked me in an interview, what I thought about Conor's trash talk. And I said, I essentially said the same thing we're saying. I think he crossed the line. I was like, people get shot for a lot less in this world. And so Conor went to Twitter and freaked out, called me a big dumb zombie. And
oh, really?
I thought it was pretty funny.
Yeah. So that didn't bother you though?
No, I don't. It's if you think I suck or I got bad wrestling or I got bad striking or, like none of that stuff bothers me at all. Because I've never claimed to be the best striker or best jiu-jitsu guy or best wrestler in the world. I just break people, I just wear people out, and it's a good old fashioned fist fight with me.
Yeah.
And, so I've never claimed to be that. So I don't get mad when people say that I'm not. It's the kind of the stuff Ryan Spann said a little bit bothered me with the kind of discrediting my career and my journey and the time that I put in and the accomplishments. That kind of bothered me a little bit, but for the most part, I can that kind of stuff I can get over. It's the disrespectful stuff.
Yeah, like the personal disrespectful stuff.
Yeah. Like John making fun of my break-in at the house, like that.
Yeah,
that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I feel you on that. I mean, you've had a crazy career, ups and downs, changing weight classes, which is extremely rare. And I don't know if there's been anybody, and you probably know better than me, who's gone from middleweight to light heavyweight and has had success like you. I obviously tried. It didn't work out for me. Thanks, Dominic Reyes. But you have like literally paved the way for other fighters to look at, where he's not cutting this crazy weight and he's going up and he's doing better than he's done down at middleweight. Like, give me your thoughts on your career, and then also like that move to light heavyweight and how that changed for you.
I didn't have, I talked earlier about the Nebraska not really being, the MMA hub.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of tough guys that have come out of the Midwest though. And I just my career wasn't managed or kind of guided. I didn't have, high level guys that were crazy successful at a high level to kind of mirror my career after. We kind of just had to figure it out as we went. So I took really tough fights really early. And I was nowhere prepared, physically, mentally, even emotionally, to deal with some of the situations that I was going to end up finding myself in. So I technically I wasn't where I needed to be in a lot of those fights. So I took a lot of really early losses. I think I had 10 losses before I even made it to a big show. So, and then I just started, I've always kind of been a late bloomer. So I just started figuring it out and a couple guys locally, like, your Jake Ellenbergers and Ryan Jensen's and Jason Brills and, those guys kind of took me under their wing a little bit after I'd already made a lot of mistakes. And I just tried to follow them the best that I could. Jake, obviously, that was the most successful one out of that group. And then he brought me to Rain in Orange County.
Yeah. Munoz would the Munoz own that gym?
Yeah, it was Munoz's spot.
Okay.
So that was the first time I'd ever been at like a super gym, kind of quote unquote. I had kind of bounced in and out of Jackson's, but even then Jackson's was very individually based. It was a lot of like, Carlos Condit was there, Donald Cerrone was there, GSP, Rashad, those guys were in and out. Kyle Noak was still there. But they were kind of doing their own thing. There wasn't like a big group setting training where it was a bunch of killers that were all getting together, constantly.
Was that the years when Greg Jackson's gym was like, it was the cream of the crop? It was, it was insane over there with the type of fighters that were coming out.
Yeah, that was the spot to be. They were, if you had to fight a guy at Jackson's, it was a problem.
Yeah.
But it was very individually based. So if you weren't kind of the big name, you weren't really getting a lot of time. So
gotcha.
I'd been there a little bit. And then when I went to Rain, that was the first time I'd been in a super gym with a bunch of high level guys where everyone was just meshed in together and we were just killing each other, and then I bounced over. Jake traveled a lot. So it was like Kings, at the time where Bisbing trained. There was I don't remember what it was called then, but we went to Kings, Bisbing spot, and then Rain. That was kind of like how our days looked. So that was like a big eye opener for me. Like, okay, this is what it's supposed to look like. So I think that changed my mentality a little bit. And then I started to have some more success, got into the UFC, through Strikeforce. And then, I just struggled. I had some, I wasn't necessarily I don't say I was unpopular with the UFC, but I just don't think they cared about me.
Yeah.
So I wasn't getting favorable matchups or great timing or I was getting really, really tough fights with guys that nobody knew. I just don't think Joe Silva liked me very much. So, I fought like Hodger Gracie, and then right after that, then I fought like another 8-time world champion grappler in Braga Neto. I had like 3 or 4 really high level grapplers back to back to back. And I was like, what are we doing here, man? Like, these guys are good. It's hard. You can't beat them all. Like, it's tough.
Yeah.
So anyways, I get cut, work my way back. And then,
what was that like working your way back at that point? You've already had a long career. You've had your losses. Now you're doing it right. And then you fall off again. Like, was that like a low point for you in your career?
Yeah, that's probably the only time I wasn't for sure, that I was going to fight again. I just didn't know. I didn't know if it was worth it. I didn't know, like, am I going to struggle and kill myself trying to get back? And then just to get back and maybe I can't stay. I just never felt like I wasn't good enough though. I felt like I was making mistakes and I was just, you see some guys' career and it's like this teeter-totter effect where like things just seem to always fall in their direction. Like, Cowboy, it reminds me of Cowboy. Like, it seemed like that shoe just dropped on Cowboy a lot and it just fell the right direction for him, in a lot of situations. And now I think he's getting the other side of that now, where, now he's like a normal person and feels like, oh, okay, this isn't, and I'm not saying he hasn't earned it or deserved it or worked hard or whatever. Just sometimes the shoe drops, and sometimes it just really works out for some people.
Absolutely,
and some people it doesn't.
That's why you get like some of these, the Bills beat the Bengals this year. Would they beat them every game? Probably not. You know what I mean? There's a reason why the Bengals are in the Super Bowl and the Jets aren't. And fighting is hard to look at like that, but it's true. When you're fighting the best guys in the world all the time, not always does the best guy win. Like the guy who win more often wins.
Right.
It's, who knows the percentage of that, but
right. So I think I just had I don't know. I was afraid that I was going to make it back and then just not be able to perform. And so I was unsure. I was injured too, so that took a while. I think that was probably a good thing that I was hurt and I couldn't just jump right back in. And then my first fight after getting cut, I got beat again on the regional scene. So then it sucked, dude. It sucked. And then I got hurt again. I had like 3 fights and 3 surgeries, like back to back to back.
And you hurting for money at this time? Are you just fighting?
Broke. Yeah, so broke.
You're with Michaela, right?
I was with Michaela. We had a baby, like a 18-month-old or a 2-year-old. Like it, I just didn't know what the hell I was going to do. So
that's how you know Michaela's a ride or die.
Yeah. Oh yeah. She was supporting me forever.
That's awesome.
So I started working and got a job as a concrete finisher and just kind of worked my way back into training and took 1 fight and then took another fight. And then like next thing I knew, I was on a 4-fight winning streak. And I'd beaten, 4 pretty tough guys, but I wasn't really trying to get back to the UFC. The money was good. Obviously I wanted to be back in the UFC and it was nice to have the extra cash on top of working. But it was like probably 4 wins in a row before I was like, you know what, maybe I can get back. And then it took me 4 more after that. I had to get 8 wins. It was 8 finishes over 8 pretty tough guys to get back in the UFC. And then I got back and it was a struggle. I'd gotten so big and I just couldn't make 85 as easy as I had in the past. And
you were a monster middleweight. I remember seeing you at like some convention or whatever, something in Vegas. And I'm like, I think I'm a big middleweight. And I'm looking at your ass and I'm like, what the fuck? This guy's big.
Yeah, it was miserable. So I think I lost. I'm not going to always blame it on the weight cut, but I just wasn't giving myself a good enough chance. We do these training camps. We kill ourselves for 8 or 10 weeks or whatever it is. You sacrifice the time with your family and the diets and the all that stuff you do, all that hard work. You just create this highly tuned athletic machine, and there's fucking trash at the day before the fight. You build this race car and then you just run it into a brick wall the day before you fight. So I just got sick of doing that. And when I fought Thiago Santos, I wasn't sure that I was gonna live. And I know that sounds really dramatic, but I mean, I'm sure you've had some tough weight cuts where you're like, I don't know if I'm going to make it through this one. I was dizzy and I was dry heaving for like 10 hours. I couldn't stand up for more than 10 seconds at a time without passing out. They carried me to the scale. And I make it. And then all night I was sick as shit.
And that's a full training camp for that fight. Like it wasn't like it was a short notice fight. You were struggling with a full training camp to make that weight that bad. Wow. Yeah. I felt like I've been there on a super short notice fight, but that's really it. Like that.
Yeah. And they just consistently got harder. Like it was just a little bit harder. And then in between the fights, it got a little bit heavier, and then, that happens over a course of 2 years. And it started to get to where I just didn't give a shit about the fight anymore. So I remember laying in bed all night the night before, just sick as shit. Every time I drank something, I'd puke it up. Every time I'd eat something, I'd puke. My stomach was like someone was wringing it out like a towel. And it just, I didn't sleep all night. And then, I got this monster in Thiago Santos who should have been what was keeping me up at night. I couldn't even have cared less because I was just so wrecked and just deflated from the weight cut. And I remember standing in the octagon and being like, "Are you ready? Are you ready?" And like looked at me and said, "Are you ready?" I remember thinking, "Not really."
No, actually, can I get like another day or two?
Yeah, hit me up tomorrow.
The weight cut was way too much, please.
Yeah, it was just everything I could do to try to even focus on the fight. I just didn't want to be there.
Bro, I had Kevin James on sorry to interrupt, bro.
No,
it's just pretty funny. Kevin James was on the podcast and he was saying he was like, I would have been the first UFC fighter where the referee gets in between us and he's like, "Are you ready? Are you ready?" And he looks at me, he says that. I'm like, "No, I don't want to do this. I'm leaving." It just reminded me of that. That's pretty funny.
That's how I felt. It was just, I was just wrecked. And after that fight, I fought. I was already kind of struggling for money and things were tight. It's in Brazil. You get taxed like hell. You got to pay for all the flights. Like I didn't have that kind of money back then. So I get my check, or like it was a direct deposit, but I get the paper, and they tell me how much it's going to be. It's like 16 grand or something, after the taxes and all the extra flights and extra hotel rooms or whatever. It's like 16 grand. And I was like, oh my God, like I cannot do this. And then like right after that, maybe 30 minutes, I was on the phone talking to my wife. I'm crying. Like, I can't believe this just happened to me. And then we bonus. So I hit my first bonus or second bonus. And then I didn't care so much because I kind of knew what I had going into the fight. I didn't have a full deck anyways.
Yeah.
But right then I knew that I was always kind of thinking about the 205 thing. But I didn't know if I'd be big enough or I'd be strong enough or if I could hang with those guys. And I remember being in Brazil thinking, if I'm not big enough or I'm not strong enough, I'll just get fucking better. I'll just be better than these guys. And I'll have to figure it out because I'm never doing that again. And it's been fantastic ever since.
Yeah, it has been.
So now I'm getting chubby since I've been injured and out. Yeah. Now I'm like 235. Like, God damn, we're in the same spot again.
That's funny. Now you're gonna have to kill yourself to make that weight class. Bro, 3-fight win streak, ranked number 4th, after already fighting for the belt. After everything you've been through, how surreal is it to be where you're at, but also you have to keep it, you don't want to think and reflect too much because at the end of the day, like your goal is to be a champion, right? And get back into that spot, and you're right there. But at the end, like, do you think and just realize sometimes like where you're at and how much you've done and how much you've overcome and how rare it is to do what you're doing?
Sometimes, like when people say that or they ask about it, I don't think about it just on my own too often, but
yeah.
It happens a lot, when I go back home, I'm around like my cousins and my old friends and we're sitting around at the farm having some beers, and they're telling stories and every once in a while someone will just look at me and say, "Is it crazy what you're doing right now?" And it's crazy. Like, I'm not supposed to be here anyways. Even before the fight game, I wasn't meant to ever be successful. So I don't ever have too much. I think sometimes people don't want to reflect at all or look back because they're afraid they're going to be okay with what they've done and not continue to push. And I don't feel like that would happen to me. Cause I know that I'm good enough to hold that title. And I know that that's the only thing that's got me holding on still. It's there's a lot of other things I could do at this point. I've built myself up to a place, at least, broadcasting wise, and, got some investments and some things that like, I don't need to fight. I'd be okay with that. If I never fought again, I'd be just fine.
Yeah.
But I just can't hang it up until I get the title. I just can't, so it is cool to look back and see a lot of time. Like, I got friends that are in prison, friends that are just not doing well and their lives are miserable. And like, I made a conscious choice to go the other direction, and it wasn't popular at the time. I didn't know that there was going to be money. I didn't know that, I didn't even know what being a world champion in the UFC really all entailed or what it meant. I just knew that I didn't want to go down that other road, and this one was a lot of fun. So I'm proud of myself more so for making the hard choice. It's easy to go down the drugs and the alcohol and the partying and the no responsibility and just living by the seat of my pants. It's really easy to be a fuck up. But when you're already halfway down the road and then to make a conscious decision to turn around and go the other direction, and usually you have to do it by yourself.
Yeah.
That's probably what I'm most proud of, in what that decision meant for my family.
That's
even
amazing. What was that turning point of kind of changing your life around? Was there something
that
Michaela happened?
Yeah, it was Michaela. And even when I was with her, like,
so Michaela, just so everybody knows, it's your wife.
Yeah, it's my wife. Yeah. So even like, I wasn't a bad person, but I wasn't living my life the right way. I was partying pretty hard. I was living this fight life, but it was more a fun thing and a social event, and fighting was fun and whatever. But they say women become mothers like right when they find out they're pregnant. In men, typically not until, they actually see their child and hold it or whatever. I think that's really, really true. Because even when she was pregnant, like I was still, again, I wasn't like a terrible person, but I was living my life and partying and whatever. And she just kind of stuck with me, like trying to guide me back in the right direction, even though I was really taking a left turn. But she never like left me high and dry and hanging. She never just said, I can't do this. Fuck this guy. I'm going to go out and raise this child. I'll figure it out. She always stuck with me. And then once Araya was born, that's my oldest, that changed everything for me. It was just like, oh shit, I got these two people, like this woman and now this innocent child, that like both of these people are dependent on me not being a fucking idiot. Like I need to figure it out. And what do I need to do to make sure that they never have to deal with any kind of stupid shit or, whatever. And I think that was it. It was just meeting Michaela, and she was probably the first person that, other than my mom, that never held anything against me. Like when I did something stupid, like she's the first person to tell me when I'm an idiot. And she's the first person to stick her finger in my face and say, you fucked up. But she never turned her back on me. And she's probably the first person, other than people that I'm related to, that didn't really leave me, when I did something stupid. So I think that's really all it took. As crazy as that sounds, I just needed someone to stick with me and I guess believe in me.
Yeah, that's amazing. It's funny because like you have a lot of these single guys out there that are kind of heading down the wrong path, and they don't want to get married. They don't want to get a girl. They don't want to get, they're not ready to have kids. And I get it. But sometimes finding someone that you're willing to do anything for is going to put a responsibility on your back that is going to make you such a better person. Yeah. And that sounds like exactly what happened to you. And that happened to me, too. Like if I didn't have the responsibility of my kids and my wife, I don't know where I'd be. It wouldn't be good. No, I'd be a loose cannon. So I think a lot of guys, we really do need someone to really put us in our place. And you're right. They can't turn their back on you when you turn into a shit show, because we're going to turn into shit shows. We're going to make a lot of mistakes, and if you have someone that's turning your back on you and walking away at that point, you're done. Right.
Well, I always tell people, and I think, just seeing I think that's why you and I have always vibed so well. I think that we're very, very similar people, and our family lives are very similar. Like our wives hit it off right away because they're very, very similar in mentalities. And I don't know, tell me if I'm wrong, but I would imagine your wife probably doesn't necessarily get along. I don't want to say she doesn't get along with, but she's not like the other fighters' wives or girlfriends or anything. Like Michaela doesn't really fit that mold that well.
My wife is about like our family and our kids, like more than anything. Like and just she is just so loyal to me and my kids, and that's her obsession. Right. There's anything else is just not important to her.
Like you see Dustin Poirier's wife. Like I think it's so cool how supportive she is of him and his career and how visible she is. But that's totally not my wife. Like she doesn't want anything to do with that part of it.
Oh, the limelight area, like of actually like garnering some of the attention at all. Yeah.
Right.
My wife. Yeah. My wife's the same way with that.
She's too. Like, you go in there, you do your thing, and I'll handle all this shit back home. Yeah. And like, she's always there at the fights, but you very rarely ever see her, So that's, I think Marivi and Michaela are very similar in that aspect. But I think that guys like us, I think I think we need someone to need us. If that makes any sense. And I think once someone needed me to not be a fuck up anymore, and someone needed me to keep my shit together and be responsible, and I think that's all I needed. I needed someone to need me, and everything's been different since then.
I love it. Yeah, I'm with you.
10 years now, dude. My oldest is 10 years old.
I know. Crazy. I got an 11-year-old. It's mind-boggling, man. I don't understand how this is my life, but I'm super grateful. And my wife really just, I work my ass off just like you do every single day, trying to do what we love to do and provide for our family. And somehow my wife has created this picture perfect family to me, a family I could never imagine for myself. Like if I had to put together a family, like exactly what I would want for my life. It's what I have, and I'm just so grateful for it. And it's really not because of me. It's my wife. It's like she really handles everything. You know what I mean?
That's how mine
it's
is,
amazing. Man. My kids are great. We have crazy ups and downs, and and figuring out our kids is always different things. But I couldn't ask for anything better.
Yeah, I'm with you, dude. The schedule's nuts. The sports.
I can't do this shit.
Sometimes I just look around. Like I don't know who did all this shit, but I'm happy they did, like
me too.
Like, all right. And then you got your wife over there. Like, what do you mean you don't know who did all this? Like,
I know. Yeah.
Pretty good job.
Just give her credit. I know my wife's killing it. I don't know how she multitasks, all the stuff she multitasks.
Yeah, me either. And then you get like people in the neighborhood are like, oh, Anthony's wife doesn't work. Like, there's no way. Like, I'm sure it'd be way easier for Michaela to have a full-time job.
100%.
Way easier.
Yeah, my wife used to have she had a full-time job and she took care of me.
Michaela worked too for a long time.
Yeah, and I'm gonna say what she's doing now is way above and beyond a normal full-time job. It's insane, Right. So hope we get some brownie points if they listen to this.
No, they won't because they got other shit to do.
Yeah, my wife's not listening to this either. No. She listened to like one podcast. But anyway, so, bro, you're ranked number 4 in light heavyweight. Let's move on to some fighting stuff before I start crying. And you're going to be fighting for a title here pretty soon, if everything works out the way it probably should. What's the goal here? Where are we at? I know you had an injury.
Yeah. So, I got the worst luck. I'm preaching to the choir there, though. I think you might have worse luck than me.
I don't have a leg to stand on, Anthony.
Even before your broken leg, you had a shit ton of surgeries, right?
It doesn't stop, yeah.
So, I tore my LCL. We did the stem cells and all that stuff. And then did a scope thinking like, oh, cool. I'm going to be down for 8 weeks anyways. Let's get it cleaned out. Got staph infection. That was a disaster. So
that is terrible luck. And that's a nightmare.
It's a nightmare, dude. It's not even the actual infection. It's what it does to you afterwards. Like just the atrophy in the leg and my balance. And I'm just not moving the way that I'm used to being able to move. And it just takes time, like I've been training. So the guys at the gym here in Omaha absolutely love it because they've been beating the shit out of me. I'm fat, I'm out of shape, and I don't move well. So jiu-jitsu wise, I'm still choking everybody, but the striking stuff is a little bit
because you got to move, right?
Yeah, you got to move around.
It's like me right now too.
Yeah, we're getting there though. I'm getting there. I think by May I'll probably be okay to take a fight, and or I'd like to fight in May. It's kind of weird. The division when you're injured, it moves on without you. So
I know
you look around me, everyone's matched, but me all the way down, almost all the way through the rankings. They've either just fought or are matched up. So hopefully some of these guys fight and, I can get the winner of one of these.
Is Rakic, is he already linked up with somebody or no?
No, he was with Blachowicz and
that's right. Yeah.
They offered me, they came to me and said, hey, would you be willing to step in and fight Rakic? Is that's before we even look at this, is that an option? And it's a little earlier than I wanted, but I wanted that opportunity. I want that fight. I could make it work.
Yeah.
So I said, yeah, but then they ended up moving. They wanted to keep that fight together for whatever reason. So they moved that entire fight to another card or moved it back. So yeah, he's just hanging out. Like I said, always that dude never fights.
What is that? Is he like kind of picky and choosing?
I think he's a little bit picky. Yeah, I think he's a little picky, and I think he's. Hey, you want to say hi to Chris?
Who's there?
Come say hi. Here, hop up here. Yeah, this kid ruins every podcast I'm on. Hold on.
Hey, what's up?
Hi, Chris.
Hi, sweetie. What's your name?
Adley.
Adley?
Mm-hmm.
I love that name. I'm Chris.
Mm-hmm.
Nice to meet you.
Chris, how good looking your dad is.
How good looking?
No, say he's.
My dad is not that good looking. That's awesome.
Run upstairs. I'll be up in a little bit. Okay.
How old is she?
She's 4.5.
4.5. She's talking good.
I have to say and a half when she's around because if I say she's 4, she'll get real. I'm 4.5.
Yeah, you don't want to get slapped across that.
We got a 4-month-old too.
Oh my God, bro.
I'm about to send you pictures of the baby.
Yeah, send me some pictures. Where's the baby? Is the baby next to you?
No, she's upstairs. This little baby is so fat.
Really?
Fattest little white baby. She's like really pale skinned. Like all my other kids are pretty tan.
Yeah.
Pale skinned and fatter than hell.
That was like my daughter. That was like my first. She was so big and so pale, and it's crazy. You know, my wife's Puerto Rican and Hawaiian, and so I figured our kids, and I'm like a darker skinned white person, you know. So I figured our kids would come out like, you know, more of a Spanish look, like my middle came out with, and my daughter came out like blonde hair, blue eyes, you know, pale as could be. I'm like, what the hell is going on here? It's so weird. Here? Genetics are a hell of a thing.
It's weird. Yeah, it's crazy. So yeah. Before we lose your listeners again.
Yeah,
man, I'm just waiting. Now we're just waiting on an opponent. I mean, if it was up to me, I don't care if they're ranked, low ranked, high ranked. It doesn't matter to me.
Yeah.
I just want to fight. I just want to get back. And this kid's carrying on roll of paper towels. I don't know what the hell she's doing.
Love it.
Yeah, I just want to fight. I just want to get back and you know, when you get some momentum going and it gets stopped, you're just like, God damn it. Like I was on a roll.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. You know what I mean? We'll figure it out.
What do you think? Like one more fight and then fight for a title? Is that what you're thinking?
I think so. You know,
that's a fair thing. Yeah. Are you going to be pissed if they make you fight too? Like where's your head at with that? Like expectations with the UFC?
Yeah, I think it depends on what happens with Rakic. Because he is so picky and he's kind of a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
And I've heard that from some of the staff that he's kind of a pain in the ass to deal with. So
yeah.
He's kind of making it difficult. And you know what? Credit to him. I have to kind of deal with it because, you know, I did lose to him, you know, a while ago. So he's got one on me. So I can't really say anything. I'm doing the best I can just to continue to fight and have big finishes so that if I have to skip him, then I have a good reason to, you know, I have a justification for that. But they say Yuri Prohaska. Well, yeah, I think that Yuri and Glover fight is booked.
Mm-hmm. When's that booked? You know?
I don't know what the date is, but you know, I think there was an opportunity. You know how it goes. You're kind of always running shit through your head. So I'm trying to get in shape and be in decent shape. So in case something happened with that Prohaska Glover fight, that at least I'd be, since I'm the only one that's available.
Yeah.
I could slide into that if I had to. But now that Rakic and Blachowicz are out, like if it's up to Rakic or me, he probably gets it.
Yeah.
Best case, like I that's why I tried to fight Rakic so bad. Like it's him and me that are kind of hanging out there. Like who's going to get the next one? Like I'll just fight him and I'll just take it. You know.
Yeah,
so
I love it.
instead of you know,
and he's kind of avoiding that a little bit. You think, right? He just kind of wants to just jump right in there.
Yeah. He wants to jump right in, and which is, if you're his management or his coaches, I get it. You know, I'm not going to say that he's scared or whatever. Like, I think he got one on me at the perfect time, and I think he's very aware of that.
Yeah.
And, you know, he already beat me once, so like, why would he want to have to do that again? You know, so I understand that part of it, but it's frustrating as shit to me. You're like, come on, man, just let me get that one back.
Yeah, man, I can't wait. I'm going to be pumped as hell.
Yeah, how's your leg?
It's good, man. It's just getting the strength back in the quad and the calf, but I'm sparring, I'm doing jujitsu, I'm like wall wrestling. I don't know if there's a point to really wrestle like in the open stance, but like I'm wall wrestling 100% and doing everything. It's just, my leg isn't as strong as I'd like it to be. It's not to the point where if I switch southpaw because it's my right leg, I'm going to be completely okay if someone just kicks me right in that calf again.
Yeah.
Or like the shin. Yeah. So I would, I'm still not confident 100% yet to like book a fight, but I'm thinking like July-ish, something like that.
That's sweet.
You know what we got to talk about? What's the irony? And that I don't know if we talked about this before or not. But me and you sparring, right? Yeah. You had a sore calf, which you didn't tell me. So I don't want to sound like a prick. I wouldn't have kicked you in it. So I don't ever do calf kicks. Okay. Just so everybody knows, that's not like my move. But I was like, you know what? I'm going to start messing with calf kicks. And I happen to be sparring you, and I throw a calf kick. You happen to have a sore calf. You're like, you go down. We take a break because your calf is killing you. Yeah. So now you gave me this false confidence of like,
it's my fault.
The calf kicking machine. I'm just going to kick Uriah Hall once and he's done.
Man.
And so the irony of it is, so I go out there, we're fighting on the same card. You're the fight right after me, or
right before you. I was right before you.
You're right before me. And you go out there and you calf kick, what's his name again? Crute.
Yeah.
Calf kick Crute. He gets the drop foot and you finish him. You finish him with calf kicks.
Yeah.
And then I go in there and I go to calf kick after having.
You're like, oh, Anthony's. Oh, wait till you see this.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I was like, look at it. If Anthony could do that, look at this. And then my leg snaps in half. Did you think about that at all? Like how weird is that? Like
I did. Yeah, I did.
What a weird thing.
Man, what a terrible goddamn night. Obviously it was way worse for you, but man, I was just, I was so excited. Like we had trained hard and like, I really busted my ass, like different for that one.
Yeah.
And, I get the win. I'm like, it's fucking Chris's turn. We're going to party our asses off tonight. We're going to have so much fun. We're going to have so much fun. I'm like in that press conference and everyone went, oh, and like I was like, the fight just started. Like, what happened already? In my mind, it was like, oh, Chris knocked him out already. Yeah. Sweet. And then someone said, oh, Chris looks like he rolled his ankle. And I was like, rolled his ankle? So then they said something, and then eventually they got to, oh my God, he broke his leg just like Anderson. And I was like, God damn it. Like, and then I got to go through my media day. Like I'm going through this car wash of interviews and shit. And, then I see your family and your wife is just crushed. Like, God damn, I felt so bad for you guys.
I honestly, you're the salt of the earth type of guy because, you really did care. I saw the interview and I was like, man, this dude, Anthony Smith is genuinely a good dude. Like
I was crushed, man. I was so sad for you guys.
And I appreciated that, man. That was really nice. And then you said so many nice things about me. I know I've overly thanked you, but it's awesome to hear from a top-notch fighter like you, something, so positive about me. So
and I meant it too. It's, man, I spent that whole time with you. Like after like the first couple of days, I remember sitting in the hotel room with Danny. I was like, how in the fuck has this guy ever lost a fight? I don't get it. I was like, I don't get it. Like, I thought there'd be like a place. Like the first day, I remember we did a lot of grappling. Like it was a lot of wall wrestling.
Yeah.
And like I learned a bunch there, like kind of your single leg kind of series.
Yeah.
But I remember saying to Danny that night, I'm like, man, he got the wrestling today. When we start rolling though, we're grappling. I'm gonna be okay. And then if we're gonna be striking, I'm gonna be okay. And then like we did like jujitsu, and I was like, okay, we can still strike. We still got striking left. Yeah. I still have a chance, And then like after that, I was like, God damn, he doesn't have a hole. Like there's no hole in his game. So
I appreciate that, but I felt the same way with you. It was awesome working with you. Like your range on the feet, your jujitsu, you're so technical everywhere, which is so rare as a big guy to have another guy who's like super technical, because a lot of times it's just pure strength and toughness and stuff like that. But to go with someone who really is a martial artist and like understands every facet of the game, you don't have a hole. There's no hole you have, and that's rare. And I think that's like the biggest thing that you bring to the table is like, no matter what, whether I'm on my back, whether I'm on the feet, I don't care how good the guy is in every situation. Like I could play here.
Yeah, we're good there. We're good there. Yeah. Man, I can't wait until you take a fight. You're gonna have to. Me and the fam are gonna have.
Bro,
to
you got to come back out.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, hell yeah, I want to come down. I'll bring the family and they can go off and do.
That'd be great.
And find some water or whatever, and
we'll
let your family take them around and we'll just grind.
Drive down.
How's Tom Lane?
He's got a fight in a week. He's fighting February 18th. It's his second pro fight. He's getting better and better. His stand-up's coming along. And he's got great wrestling. He's tough. He's strong. So I hope he's working his ass off. It's a nice thing. Like I get this extra energy. I'm like trying to help him out and like help him any way I can, like kind of coaching him. But I get so much from him, that young, hungry energy, that nonstop grind. I mean, he's living that life where like I remember living, where, you don't have much money. You're just training all day.
Yeah. I felt that from him when I was there. Like he gives you that extra 10% that you need, because in my mind, like, we're kind of these grizzled old veterans, like, but we still got it, and you get this young killer who he'll give you problems just in ferocity and straight up willpower. So it forces you to like level up a little bit. And he's such a nice guy on top of that. So there's no like, sometimes you run into these like young, kind of real good dudes on the regional scene. They're kind of dickheads.
You can feel the ego, right? Like you can feel like they're going to be talking to people about this. Like
there's no ego with Tom.
They want to score a takedown, or they want to hit a submission, or they want to hit an escape, or they want to land a good punch, just so they can go and tell somebody.
Right.
And you can feel that.
Tom Lane's not like that.
No, he's not that guy.
No, he's not. Thank God I never ran into someone like him on the regional scene. Like just the nicest, quietest kind of dude, and just straight up rip your head off when you get there.
The best was his stare down for his first professional fight. He's going against this like intimidating looking strong dude who's like street, and Tom Lane and him, like they do a face off, and Tom doesn't know if he should like shake his hand or not. He's like, trying to look tough, but yet he's such like a nerd.
He's not tough.
No, he's not that tough. He's not tough like street tough. He's like, he's going to grab your legs and take you down. And he really believes he could beat anybody with that. So it's different. Yeah. He crushed the guy. But let's talk about this fight card coming up, some current events, so we could throw some cool little videos out there. So Adesanya versus Whittaker. What do you got? How do you break that one down?
Man, it's tough. Here's the deal. Everyone talks about the improvements that Whittaker has made, which I totally agree. He's looked fantastic.
Amazing. In that Gastelum fight, he looked unbelievable.
Unbelievable. Yeah. And what was it? The Cannonier fight too?
Yep.
He just looks fantastic. Even if, I hate to say this because I like Whittaker so much, but even if he's improved 30%, which would be a huge jump, at this level of the game, I still don't know. I still don't think he's good enough to beat Izzy on his feet. Izzy's so tough to get to, and Whittaker's not that type of wrestler that's just going to be able to kind of power through and explode into some hips and again, like I've said it 100 times, like I think you're a really tough matchup for Izzy. Like even if you're having problems on your feet, like if you touch him, you're going to pull your way into something, and then you start getting control of the body or leg or whatever. Yeah. Like a high level wrestler, I think that's the kind of fighter that's going to give Israel Adesanya problems. It's just unless you're that who's that goddamn that middleweight that's with Glover that knocked Izzy out in Glory.
He knocked out he Brazilian dude.
Yeah.
Pereira son. Yeah.
So he's he's probably the only guy that's going to be able to be like toe to toe, tit for tat. Like let's play this technical game of darts with Izzy. Because he just understands that style and range and whatever, and he's got the power clearly. So you're gonna have to switch it up with Adesanya. You got to mix the striking and the wrestling and all that stuff together and blend it really well.
Yeah,
I just don't know if he does blend well. I just don't know if his wrestling game is good enough to really threaten Izzy for very long. And I don't know if he's good enough to take round like Blachowicz. Blachowicz did a good job in those first 3 rounds of not attacking the takedown right away. He's by no means like a high level wrestler. He's really good black belt and like really good top pressure. But I think the wrestling piece is where he lacks a little bit. But he was able to take at least 1 round off of Izzy in those first 3. He was able to keep it close enough, just by a couple points, a couple shots, was able to take 1 round in the first 3. And then by that time, he was able to get the takedown in those last 2 rounds and kind of wear him out and just be heavy. I just don't know if Whittaker's body style and size and strength are going to allow him to do something like, can he take 1 round out of the first 3? I don't know. Can he stay safe? For sure.
Do you look at the Kelvin Gastelum fight as anything, as a comparison with those two? Because they both fought Kelvin Gastelum and obviously Adesanya, it was a way tougher fight for him than when Whittaker, but it was different times in Gastelum's career, different confidence levels. And so what do you think of those fights, or you don't even look at that?
I look at it as far as Adesanya goes. I think that it definitely shows that he can fight when he has to. Every once in a while,
he showed toughness and heart for sure.
Every once in a while, a fist fight breaks out in an MMA match, and that was kind of one of those times. So he's got that in him. But it also showed me that you can draw Izzy out of being so pretty. If you're just a little bit meaner than he is. Sometimes Whittaker wants to be a little too pretty. And I think if he wants to draw that out of Izzy, he's going to have to just kind of set some of that prettiness aside and then just kind of make it a dogfight in some of those situations. And I think you can draw Izzy into that.
But I do think that's kind of the way in their first fight. I felt like he tried that and it did not go well. He tried to spaz out of control, right? He tried to throw huge haymakers and he looked so uncomfortable. I think he tried to make it dirty. But I think he is that pretty fighter.
I think he tried to make it dirty as a pretty fighter, though. Like Gastelum kind of just walked into range and got real close and just kind of dirty boxed and pulled on his head and went to his body and hit him on the break. And, but he stayed safe on the outside and then kind of opened up once he was inside. Yeah. Whittaker kind of blitzed from the outside, it's like he just threw these big haymakers on his way in. I think if he works his way in safely, and then kind of spazzes out a little bit. I think that's how I would do it. If I was fighting Adesanya, even as a taller, rangier guy compared to those guys, body style wise, Izzy and I are very similar. He's just skinnier than I am.
Yeah.
Even being similar body style to him, I would still fight him on the inside. Would just hands tight, bite down on your goddamn mouthpiece, and take a deep step inside and just make it ugly and just dirty box him, lots of uppercuts and body shots and grab him, pulling his head and just be mean and frustrating.
How much does Whittaker hesitate on that after being knocked out the way he did though with that hook?
A lot,
because that's the inside. He got to where he wanted to, right? And then he got hit with a shot that, he'll never forget,
Yeah, and that's the thing, is his mindset. Is he in a place that he's still willing to do that?
Yeah.
My guess would be no, because he's smarter than you and I are.
That's
what we would do, but
yeah,
he's smarter than we are. But
yeah.
I would guess he's gonna just try to play that. He's gonna play the long game. That's the kind of two directions, in my opinion. I think you have to go. You gotta kind of make it ugly, get inside and make it nasty, or you gotta be super, super safe and technical on the outside and just play that 5-round, 25-minute. Let's hope I can stay just one step ahead kind of game.
Yeah. I looking at their last couple of fights, I think I was going with Whittaker 100%, just based on the improvement level. I think he's looked so much better in the last couple of fights when you compare it to Izzy. I think Izzy hasn't looked like he's improved a lot in this last year in those last two fights. But so I was thinking, I think Whittaker's going to take this. This chip has been on his shoulder a long time since he lost the first time. He had to deal with Israel Adesanya kind of showing off and talking a little trash. And Whittaker's such a good dude. He just kind of keeps it in. And, it's just another fight. It's just another fight. But at the end of the day, that chip is on his shoulder and he wants to prove. You got the whole Australia thing. There's so much pressure. He fought really bad in that last fight, in my opinion. He just it wasn't his best performance, and, he paid for it. But I saw Israel Adesanya on the embedded, and he really is impressing me with his mindset heading into this fight. He when you're the champ and, and you've had some fights that people are, criticizing, like his last two fights, you have the usual defense mechanism is to be like, I'm fighting the best guys in the world and I dominated them. And Blachowicz was just bigger and that was a side thing and whatever, it doesn't matter. But he's like, I haven't looked good in these last two fights. I've been lackluster.
He accepts the criticism.
He admitted it. And he's like, I wasn't that good, which tells me he's working super hard to get even better every day. And so I think we're going to have a crazy fight. I think it's going to be a great fight with two guys with huge chips on their shoulder that really want to win. And I'm with you. I love Whittaker as a person. That's my guy. But it's going to be a tough one. I do think it's possible for him to win, just like any fight. But I do think he can win with, not that he's going to. I don't think he has the body type, and he doesn't have the wrestling to take him down and do a Blachowicz and hold him, for 5 rounds, definitely. But I think he could win some rounds with an additional takedown. Israel does have tendencies of being a little reserved and not throwing that much. And if he could kind of get him into that type of fight where it's like a point fighting type fight and then score a takedown kind of towards the end, even if he's losing on the feet, just to add that in.
Right.
When a couple rounds like that, land some big shots here and there, he can win, he can win the fight. But
I think it's going to be competitive. Like, I don't think we see a blowout like we did in the first one. I think that was just I think Whittaker had the worst day of his life, and I don't
know if the pressure got to him. That was a lot of pressure in Australia fighting.
There's a lot of hype behind Israel too. He was kind of the boogeyman. It was like the unbeatable. Then you seen Brunson go in there and trying to wrestle with him, and he got smoked. And it just, I think it was just a kind of a tornado of things coming into that fight. And now Whittaker's been in there. You know what I mean? He worked it out in his head. I think it's going to be super competitive. Yeah,
I agree. I can't wait. I'm super excited about that, man. All right, brother. It's been over an hour. I appreciate you spending time with me. It was awesome. Yeah, it's been awesome hanging out with you, bro. You're the man. Excited to watch your next fight and train with you. Here soon. Yeah,
we're gonna have to get together soon.
We both have injured legs. We'll both just kick each other.
We'll just keep you kick me, I'll kick you.
Yeah, we'll do kick for kick.
Perfect.
Say hi to the family for me.
For sure, you too.
And thanks, brother. I'll talk to you, man. Thanks for watching today's episode. If you enjoyed it, please let us know in the comments below. Won't Back Down is also available as a podcast, so feel free to give us a follow wherever you get your podcasts.